Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. This is Stripping It Right Back, part 9. So yes, if you've been following me up all the way, well, it's getting quite dense now, okay? I've been putting together a complex jigsaw puzzle for you. A puzzle that you have to become mindful of because it's about the puzzle that sits in your own head. Okay, and it's becoming very dense with abstraction, okay? In part 8, I was talking about how the I we transcendentally sit in an abstract universe, okay? That's what the universe is to us, more to the point, okay? We can only understand it in the abstract sense. We can only fit our minds to it around the geometry of its own fixed terrain, okay? It's a very important point. So yes, we sit in an abstract ocean, basically, an abstract ocean of inferences, a matrix of inferences, okay? So yes, I want to talk about, in relation to all of that, what I call constant geometry. Because we've always been trying to give meaning to humanity. What's our purpose? You know, what meaning can we ascribe to our species? What meaning do we have, okay? And this question, this fundamental question, this deep question has, you know, eluded us for, well, right up until now, okay? How do we give meaning to something? Well, to give meaning to something, you have to know what that something is, okay? And that's what I've been getting to. I've been trying to build a picture of what we might be in our heads, okay? So we can better get a grip of ourselves, so we can better understand ourselves. And by understanding ourselves, by understanding what we are, we might be able to discern with more accuracy the track that we're on. And once we understand the track that we're on, we might be able to follow that track, that path, and become righteous with it, become ontologically aligned with it, if you will, and so on. And then we can give meaning to whatever is on that track, okay? So we have to understand what we are first before we try to give meaning to ourselves. That's my point. So anyway, it's a constant geometry. Okay, as I said, we're in a state of, we are constantly in a state of abstraction, okay? We're sitting in an abstract pond, an abstract ocean, and we have a systemic topological observational eye for mapping ourselves onto it, okay? So let's try and map ourselves onto it. We can map ourselves onto many, many fixed positions, like I said, but most positions, when we look at anything, when you look at the human body, for example, it has a geometry. Okay, if you can find symmetry with a square, it's because the square has a geometry. If you can find symmetry with a chessboard, it's because the chessboard has a set geometry. If you can find symmetry with a cell, it's because it has a set geometry. That's why you can find symmetry with things. So to understand the total unifying answer to everything, we're going to have to find symmetry with its total geometrical order. That's just axiomatic. Okay, to do that, we're going to have to give constant geometry to something. To say something has an ontological foundation, something that is fixed, that immutable, this is the thing in itself, this is it unto itself, okay? We can only make that statement if we're ever going to come across, you know, the correct foundation for things. We will only come across it if we are able to make the statement that we have found symmetry with the correct geometry of things. Okay, that's, like I said, axiomatic. So that's what constant geometry is about. So in relation to trying to place ourselves out here, this thing we're trying to give meaning to, okay, well, where are we out here, okay? I've never been able to place myself out here because out here is a dissipating field, okay? We're all dissipating, okay? We're all just dissipating. We're dying and living at the same time, okay? We're being fused together and we're dissipating at the same time. Now, my mind is fixed to the geometry of that dissipating fact, okay? But I can't find constant geometry with me, okay? I cannot get down into the atoms and draw a line around the bottom of me, my foundation, and draw a line around my outside out here, okay? Because it's dissipating and say, here I am as a fixed, unique unit unto myself. I just can't do that because I cannot give constant geometry to the geometry of self, okay? But the mind understands that tract, okay? The mind understands the weight of that abstraction, okay? It can abstract itself, okay? It can ask itself, where am I out here, okay? How do I place myself out here? Where is my body out here? And it can transpose itself into all the inferences of body, okay? And run along all its network of plays and interplays, you know, and align with it and so on. Like I said, find symmetry with its geometry. But when we find symmetry with its geometry, every time we get down to it, okay, we lose placement with it, okay? We keep dissipating or else disappearing into the quantum realms, okay? Now, so we can't place ourselves out here. We cannot premise self out here, okay? Because we have no first order predicate, basically, okay? And that's a bit abstract, it's a bit complex, but anyway, you might have to watch it 100 times to understand that, but that's what it takes, okay? If you want to master your own mind, it's going to take time, okay? You've got to become mindful of yourself and to move forward in a very, very abstract, complex way. And I'm just trying to help you bridge that. So yes, constant geometry. We can't place constant geometry down out here, okay, with ourselves. We can just say we're part of a dissipating field. So we must give kudos to the mind that knows that knows such complex things, because we all have this unit within, like I said, this transcendental systemic lens within, and we can all transcend and transpose ourselves into all the different terrains through inferences and know ourselves along axioms, okay? We are all capable of that, okay, once you realize that, once you become mindful of that fact. So we can hold symmetry with that. There is a constant geometry to that. That's my point, okay? The thing that knows there's no constant geometry out here understands that, okay? It engages with it. I engage with all the inferences of self and body and tree and plant and animal and rock and earth and whatever, but I reduce it all. It disappears into quantum, okay? And when it's out here, it's never holding for more than a second that I can't even place. So I have symmetry with the geometry of that, okay? So we don't know what we are out here, so we can no longer premise out here, okay, until we can. But we can premise, you know, with first order a priori predicates that we are something that knows that to be the case. So the only thing that actually stands, and this is my overall point, the only thing we are in an abstract position to say is that we have a seeing lens within that sees symmetrically. Okay, that's it. And it sees with the symmetry of its own geometry, and it can see with its own geometry that it is constant, okay? It has always been evaluating. It has always been in a transcendental state. It has always been navigating. It has always been adding things up. It has always been evolving, okay? Always trying to find completeness, always trying to unify itself, okay, with the correct geometry of things, okay? Now that is monumental in us as a species. If nothing else, that is monumental in us, okay? That we can transcend ourselves, that we can transcend ourselves with such scope and scale of mind, okay? That is what gives us measurement on this day. Anyway, thank you for listening. Peace and love and logic.